Analyze, the ability to trim your recordings. First, we'll start by setting up a test in Capture. We'll start a new project called Starry Night, and then we'll set up a task where the users open up Van Gogh's artwork from the desktop, and then they'll look at it for 10 seconds. So let's put that task in right there. Okay, now we're done. Let's preview it. Looks good? Alright, let's test. So we'll get a user in here, and then we'll turn on the headset, set it up, and adjust the light so it catches their eye. And whenever you're adjusting the light, make sure the light comes up from underneath as much as possible so that it lights the entire eye without any shadows from above. Now let's look at the corners. And it looks like the right side's out, so let's adjust the light so that we get more on the right side. Checking those corners. Good. And let's check the other corners to make sure we didn't mess anything up there. Alright, looks good. Let's start a test and watch what happens. You'll also note that the calibration in Capture is randomized in this upgrade of the software. This way the users can't anticipate the dots and possibly mess up their own calibration. So this is something else that'll help facilitate faster calibration as well. Alright, now for the results. Alright, this is looking good for the purposes of our test, so let's go ahead and start and let the user take over. Now it's taking them a little bit before they decide. We'll have to cut that out from the beginning of the recording. Also, you'll note I'm not really timing the 10 seconds that I'm looking for here. I just want them to look at the picture. When they feel like they've taken 10 seconds or when they feel like they're done, they'll go ahead and click that green check mark in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and then I'll end the test, and then when I go into Analyze, that's when I'll mess with the actual length of the recording. So it looks like they think they're done, so they'll click and then go back into Capture, end the test. And this is our third user, so we're going to call this recording 3. Okay. And now we're done. So let's go to Analyze. And in Analyze, I already have a recording open for us to start with. We'll see here that we've got the 3 users, and all 3 of them are taking their time getting started with that task, and not all of them are looking at it at the same time. So trying to aggregate this data, it's kind of worthless. Especially with user 2 there, the one in blue. They seem to be having trouble following instructions or finding an icon in the middle of a blank desktop. So what we're going to need to do is limit this. In order to trim these recordings, we have to make sure that we limit it to only one task and only one user. And conveniently, you'll see that we only have one task for this recording, that one right there. But we're still going to have to deselect the other users. So let's deselect the first 2 and work with task 3 because that's the one that we've actually seen. You'll see at the bottom 2 little triangles. Those are the trim sliders, and you move them both to trim either from the beginning of the recording or trim information from the end of the recording. And as we look through the playback, we see that it's around 4 seconds that they actually start looking at that image. So what we want to do is we want to adjust the slider to about the 4-second mark. It'll start replaying from where we started it. Okay, and then we'll inch it forward until we actually get the point that we're looking for. Looks like we've got it there at about 4.300 seconds. And since we only want 10 seconds, the first 10 seconds, we're going to bring the second slider to 14.300. So there's our 10 seconds there. Now let's go to user 2. This is the one that had some trouble. Let's grab the slider and move it along. Okay, it's about 10 seconds where they actually started looking at it. So I'll bring the slider over, and just like before, we'll keep tinkering with it until we think we get the right timing. It's looking like it's in the 10.5 something range. 10.580, okay. And then we'll bring it back to 20.580 to make sure that we get our 10 seconds of viewing. Great. And now let's go to user 1. Okay, this one was pretty fast, so that's in the 1 second range. So let's bring that up to 1 second about, and then slowly inch that around. Okay, it looks like 1.540, so let's bring this to 11.540. Right there. Okay, now we got it. There's our 10 seconds. So what we want to do is let's go to the gaze plot. Let's look at all this information in aggregate now that we have it, and reselect users 2 and 3 so that we have them all at the same time. Everything's synced up at the same, so this is the first 10 seconds for everybody. This is how it looks all together. Alright, that's looking pretty cool. And it's nice to see how beautifully overlaid it is. This is good for now, but let's go to clusters and look at that. Now clusters take some time to render, so we're going to use some movie magic and move ourselves forward. Okay, so this is what it looks like after we've got everything done. We see that the users are spending most of their time near the stars, that cypress in the foreground, and the village and the church. So now I've limited this data to just the 10 seconds that make meaning for me, but let's go ahead and take a look at the heat map while we're at it too. And here we have the finalized heat map with data that largely reflects what we already saw in the gaze plot analysis. And of course a heat map will look better with more users over time. Bigger N is always better. But here you can see how the use of the trim tool can make it so that we can focus like a laser on the parts that we're actually interested in terms of our data analysis. I hope this demonstrates how easy it is to start using the new trimming feature in Analyze. If you have any questions or suggestions, contact us by email at support@grinbath.com or go to the support forum at support.grinbath.com.